Assalamualaikum and good days. My name is Nufara Nadia binti Abdul Halim and my metric number is 292113. So I will present the introduction for Malaysian foreign policy toward UN, the case of UN peacekeeping. In 1957, the United Nations showcased its active dedication to international peace, security and cooperation. Member states of UN were encouraged to collaborate in tackling intricate global challenges. UN missions were deployed to regions like Bosnia, Herzegovina, Somalia, East Timor, Lebanon, and Mali, demonstrating the organization's commitment to peacekeeping and stability. Moreover, the UN emphasized its dedication to South-South cooperation and solidarity. Malaysia, as a member, actively participates by sharing its value experience, expertise, and resources. Through this effort, the United Nations continues to work tirelessly toward a more peaceful and successful world.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Norma Zatunisa binti Hassan and my metric number is 291949. Today I will present about factors Malaysia involved with UN, United Nations. Malaysian participant in the UN has been influenced by a number of issues. The UN cited to Malaysia in facilitating the incorporation of Sabah Sarawak into Malaysia, as well as the assistance Malaysia received from the UN are the two main ways that Malaysian commit and cooperation in the UN are demonstrated. The primary reason Malaysia joined the UN was because the UN made it easier for Malaysia to integrate Sabah and Sarawak into the creation of Malaysia in 1963. The first reason Malaysia joined the United Nations was because of the assistance the UN provided to Malaysia. United Nations during the conducting of a referendum in Sabah and Sarawak during the establishment of Malaysia in 1963 is the assistance that Malaysians remember most clearly. The United Nations of Sabah and Sarawak were under the auspice of Malaysia of the day of the founding in Malaysia in 1957. However, combining Sabah and Sarawak under the auspice of Malaysia at that time was not a simple affair. Sabah and Sarawak initially opposed the idea of being combined under the control of Malaysia with some reasons. This occurred as a result of Sabah and Sarawak's lack of faith in Malaysia's ability to guide them. The referendum for Sabah and Sarawak to join Malaysia has gotten more challenging as a result of this rejection. In order to address this challenging issue, the Colbert Commission was established in 1962. This commission was created primarily for the aim of keeping track of public opinion at that time about the development of this Malaysia concept. The British government dispatched numerous representatives to do this duty, including Lord Colbert and Datuk Wong Pooni and Muhammad Ghazali Shafi'i Haris from the national government. According to the Colbert Commission monitoring, 18% of people support the creation of Malaysia. The country had originally intended to declare the creation on June 1 at 1963, but this had to be delayed to August 31, 1963 due to criticism and objections it had received from Indonesia and the Philippines, which has stalled the implementation. The United Nations has once again undertaken a referendum census in Sabah and Sarawak using the time left before the declaration of formation. In a report, Lawrence Michael Moore, a UN representative, claimed that practically all of the states resident at the time had consented to take part in the formation of Malaysia. A joint agreement with the declaration of Sabah and Sarawak under the patronage of Malaysia has already been made with all the assistance provided by the UN. This statement was commemorated on September 16, 1993 in Kuala Lumpur's Merdeka Stadium. The last factor for Malaysia to join the UN is that Malaysia enjoys certain aid channel by the UN to Malaysia. For example, WHO and FAO give a lot of help through their respective office in Kuala Lumpur. The FAO organization has launched food security, which has four main components, which are food availability of successful quantity and quality of food supply through domestic product or imports. Food production must be sufficient according to the needs of people. The United Nations is home to a number of organizations, including the United Nations Education, Scientific and Culture Organization, and a number of economic and social council of the United Nations. The United Nations Education, Scientific and Culture Organization, which was formed in 1945 and has its headquarters in Paris, France, is a subset of the UNESCO organization. The UN also houses the Food and Agriculture Organization, representative for FAO. In addition to UNESCO, Rome, Italy serves as the FAO organization headquarters. The World Health Organization, which is WHO, is the following entity. Geneva, Switzerland is home to the WHO organization main office. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, was also founded by the UN. This organization, which benefits children everywhere, is a global one. The UN Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the International Labour Organization, ILO, are among the another UN institutions that are not discussed. That's all from my part. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Aina binti Abdullah and my matric number is 292968. Today I want to present about case study that involve Malaysia and case study that not involve Malaysia. For case study that involve Malaysia is Malaysian peacekeeping operation in Congo and Somalia. Malaysia is one of the countries involved and deployed as a peacekeeping force in Congo and Somalia. The Malaysian team received international attention and praise for its contribution and operational success. Diversity in peacekeeping operations gives military leaders, and if peacekeeping forces are not properly exposed before deployment, their members will be affected. For the multidimensional security environment, they are seen as not being prepared enough. Situations like these are real challenges and obstacles that Malaysian peacekeeping forces has experienced. The incident that happened in Somalia, the UNOSOM 2 United Nations operation in Somalia 2 has troops in Somalia who are stationed in hazardous regions but refuse to request a change of location. The Malaysian military has received anti-aircraft guns, mortars and M16 rifles among other weaponry. Along with possessing light armors, the army also received 700 bulletproof jackets, communication tools and other supplies. Abdul Latif bin Ahmad, the contingent commander, and a party of 50 officers and soldiers headed in advance left for Mogadishu on 18 June of the year. The remainder of the troops was progressively deployed from 29 June to 4 July 1993. 20 nations, including Malaysia, took part in UNOSOM 2. Midway through December 1990, Mogadishu cased to be a secure place to live. The Freedom Troops engaged Said Barre's army of allies in combat. Next, the incident that happened in Congo. The difficult problem of creating a security zone is brought up in Congo by ONUC's determination not to employ violence or carry out security enforcement operation. In February 1961, the Katang army, commanded by foreign mercenaries, assaulted and executed local leaders, finally shattering the stability of the Riki zone. This made it harder for the United Nations to maintain authority over the area and encourage the African Nation Congress to return. The United lacks the power to enforce law in the zone. It can only defend itself, nonetheless attack typical target local authorities rather than United Nations security personnel. The potential to establish safe havens for peace was diminished by the attack, as were the area and United Nations forces. Next, the case study that did not involve Malaysia is a case of Democratic Republic of Congo. Since the conclusion of the Cold War, there has been a significant increase in the amount of literature of United Nations peacekeeping, and a wide range of studies have looked at both the potential and the failure and achievements of peacekeeping. These increases imply that war are not more likely to be internal, happening within the borders of nations as opposed to being regional, making peace efforts more difficult to achieve. In some instances, like El Salvador, Sierra Leone, and Mozambique, the United Nations peacekeeping deployments were regarded effective. In other instances, like Bosnia Herzegovina, Rwanda, and Somalia, they were declared unsuccessful. But when one takes into consideration in involving the civil wars, it's instructive to evaluate not just why the United Nations succeed or fail, but also what element explains the triumph or failure in Africa. There is, however, a paucity of scientific investigation into the fundamental causes of these achievements and failures. By making the points that the nation interests of the superpower are the decisive elements that will decide the success and failure of United Nations peacekeeping operation. Using the Democratic Republic of the Congo as a possible example, the study will contribute to closing the knowledge gap. In 1999, the Congolese peace agreement was mediated in Lusaka, Tanzania. The foundation of United Nations peacekeeping operation, the departure of foreign forces from the DRC, and the trust between the warring parties were all unshared by this. By Resolution 1291 of the United Nations Security Council on 30 November 1999, the United Nations peacekeeping operation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo (MONUC) were established to ensure the enforcement and adherence by all parties, with the condition of the Lusaka ceasefire agreement, support the process of armed militants, disarmament, demobilization, repatriation, resettlement, and reintegration, monitor any violations of the agreements, and support the transitional process and the holding of legitimate election in the nationwide. Acting in accordance with Chapter 7 of United Nations Chapter, the Security Council mandated that MONUC use all appropriate means to thwart any attempt by any armed group, particularly the acts for an interarmy to return the war, to safeguard United Nations personnel facilities, installation and equipment, and to ensure the protection of civilization from the imminent threat of physical violence. 1. The United Nations Peacekeeping Mission has had both numerous achievements and setbacks when it first began operating in Monarch 2. The DRC's 2006 nation elections, which attracted an estimated 25 million voters to 53,000 voting places, served as the finest example of Monarch accomplishment in this area.
Malaysia foreign policy influenced by United Nations. First is freedom and human rights. Human rights encompass basic freedom for all, regardless of background, including civil and political rights. Malaysia's Human Rights Commission and United Nations collaborate to advance human rights and SDGs. Secondly is sustainable development. Malaysia's sustainable development efforts align with the UN's 2030 agenda, aiming to inspire global success and conserve the environment. Malaysia's innovation in various sectors improve productivity, competitiveness, quality of life, and environmental sustainability. Next is well-being and general health. Malaysia's foreign policy is influenced by its citizens' well-being and health. The World Health Organization (WHO), founded in 1948, is the global coordinator for public health. WHO supports Malaysia in addressing issues like HIV, AIDS, mental health, and COVID-19. Next is education. The United Nations has influenced Malaysia's foreign policy in education, as it established the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization (UNESCO) in 1945. UNESCO focused on education, culture and science, and also Malaysia has collaborated with UNESCO to improve education, curriculum development, and protect cultural heritage. 7 Malaysian locations has been designated as World Heritage Site. Lastly is reconciliation and peacekeeping. Malaysia's foreign policy has been influenced by the United Nations' effort in reconciliation and peacekeeping, focusing on avoiding violence, settling disagreement, upholding human rights, and promoting international collaboration. Malaysia has participated in numerous UN peacekeeping missions and is committed to peace in Southeast Asia and the Islamic world. In conclusion, Malaysia's foreign policy has been influenced by the United Nations in terms of reconciliation and peacekeeping. Malaysia has been a member since 1957 and has participated in numerous UN peacekeeping missions worldwide. Malaysia is also involved in peace struggles in Southeast Asia and the Islamic world, including the Palestinian conflict, Rohingya, North Korea, and the South China Sea. Malaysia has joined the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons on 2020 and committed to peaceful dispute resolution. The UN's influence on Malaysia's action in human rights, sustainable development, health, education and peace is influenced by its nationality preference.